Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
All right, those of you who've been around here for a while know that
Sorry about that. Give me one second here. Okay. There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Just going to go through a few things, kind of what we're seeing here with our game edge tools, as well as anybody has any individual questions. Be happy to answer those. Hello, Ty. How are you? How are you? All right, so price action wise, just looking at our morning game plan, you can go back and review our morning pre-market prep. Good. Go back and review our pre-market prep. 66.50 was going to be that key level to get over. We're going to need to see a significant amount of intraday volume and call speculation to the upside. We anticipated a pullback towards top of the Drunken Sailor range, 66.25, 66.30. I was looking for 2025. Do you have a script for PDD? You want me to look at the web app, Jim? It's just Jim. Look at the stock, its structure. Yeah, we'll look at that. So anyway, SPX game plan this morning. Yeah, 100. Yeah, we'll do it. We thought we'd be stuck between 25 and 50. If we got over 50, we were looking for 66.70, 66.80. That was our pre-market plan. We pulled back to the top of Drunken Sailor range and P-Trans level, as well as the transition levels. Again, as long as we're call dominated, and the MTM was weakening a little bit, and it's to the downside a little. We did see some selling, but now it's basically flat, and we've bumped back up towards the 6650 level. Volume's really low at the moment as we head into the monthly OPEX here. And I would assume that we'll see tick turn back up, but pull back to the top of the DS transition and back towards 6650. So we could just chop around in this range really for the rest of the day. And that was pretty much our anticipation. Let me pull up the volume command. So latest volume command, the call centroid slope slightly down to flat. So really no speculation to the upside. You see this quick little peak here at 66.85 and 66.73 and 66.70. So basically we're just traversing sideways, and the slope is basically flat to down, as you see here. Put centroid, we saw a couple spikes here to the downside, but it is basically flat to up. So again, no speculation to the downside, and really, as long as we just continue on this trajectory, most likely we'll finish somewhere between these 2 points. So that's kind of how we'll see this play out. But really, again, no speculation to the upside, no speculation to the downside. And if you really had this is a linear fit line, but draw a median line, we're really just kind of going sideways. Two railroad tracks parallel to each other, so no urgency up or down for any of the speculators into the afternoon. Not really anticipating that will change much. So pretty much our game plan stays the same. Above 66.50, we'd look for 66.70, 80. If we're below 66.50, we'd be trapped in the range from 25 to 50. PDD for today, 130 is PGX. COI is all the way down at 125, so upside speculation. Yeah, TTD, absolutely. E-Trading Shorts, thanks for joining us. And Qs, yep, we'll check those too. Thanks again for everybody for joining us. Just throw tickers in there, or if you want to talk about something else or want to talk about something off topic, let's do it. I'm just going to hang around here. Might eat a couple snacks here in just a minute. I got home from hitting some golf balls with my son. So, yeah, so 130, yep, Tesla. 130 to the upside. After this expiry, 130, the structure doesn't move up to the upside very much. So 130 looks like cap on price. Now you see some out of the money call speculation up here. You see COTMC, so that would most likely be the cap on price. QYLD, Sherman, I'm not going to turn you down on that, man, but there's a lot of people that talk about the QYLD roll, but man, it doesn't matter to us. Structure, you know? I mean, is there going to be volatility in the afternoon? Could be because of rebalance, but We don't put much weight on that. TTD, let's see. OI is very low. And you can see these are really not filled in that much. So via NetGex. So spot price below transition, put dominated, so very weak structure on TTD. 46,000 on the OI. Put dominated still, so structure's very weak on that. Yep. What are we gonna look at now? Qs. Let's look at Qs. Qs probably had. So, I'll let you know about Q's side. The net OI does not change intraday on the web app, right? Nobody has net OI updates intraday. Everything settles after 4:30 by the CBOE. So the only thing that's going to change is the Greeks as we calculate those on the fly as the price traverses the structure. So the net OI is not going to change. Okay. Call dominated, bum below spot price, 600. This doesn't really change. Really, all we did was came down to transition. Now we're back up and we're within the same structure. So nothing's really changed on that. Tesla, I think it was call dominated. Everything looked good. Was it 370 to the upside? Or no, sorry, 425. We're right at PGEX, so not really anticipating much higher on Tesla after OPEX. 470, I said 370. I meant 470 jumped PGEX and COI, so I'm anticipating Tesla to possibly move up towards 470. Speculators are still very present. Nice. E-trading shorts. Let me know where you play. AJ, can you talk how you enter at P-Trans, how much risk you take points-wise? Absolutely. So that really depends on position sizing and depending on what you're trading, right? We sell spreads below or whatever your trading plan is, right? We were short put debit spreads when we rejected 6650, short with put debit spreads when we rejected 6650. So you could do a call debit spread down here if you wanted, and risking whatever you risk on whatever your trading plan or whatever your account allows. Obviously, if we get below transition, then that for us is cautionary. So I would risk it versus transition area. So 6620, 25. Going long from that level, absolutely. That's a nice stop area. As you see, 0DT transition and full complex transition. So if we lost that and started closing below, that would be a good out point. So you could do that. I wouldn't necessarily condone naked longs from this. I'd do some sort of spread. Upstate New York, nice. Yeah, should be heading into fall. Oh, Bethpage Black coming up, man. Ryder Cup. So AJ, hopefully that helps, right? I mean, any pullback to transition should be an opportunity to get involved. And whether you're doing spreads, it's much easier because you limit your risk at the open or when you open the spread. So hopefully that helps there. Yeah, Microsoft, we can take a look at Microsoft. Microsoft, call dominated, bum below spot price, 512 PGEX, COI 530, probably not going to make that. After this expiration, 520, PGEX moves up, so structure continues to advance. So speculation continues to the upside after this expiry. I can take this expiry out. Yes, you could, AJ, absolutely. However you want to structure that trade. But yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that'd be the advice. Yes, to do that. So Microsoft call dominated, bum below spot price, 520 on all expiries. So that looks like the good target to the upside for Microsoft, Sherman, if you're in it. And transition widens a little bit, but yeah. We always want to do, open a position where we don't think price is going to go, right? And so top of drunken sailor range was a good bounce point. And obviously you probably should have max profit now, I would assume, back up towards 6650. If not, you can still close it. If you're in the trade for 30 minutes to an hour and you got a 50% return, 100% return, whatever you wanted to, 50% return, let's just say, you could close the trade, right? I mean, because it went in your direction, Yeah, how many ever contracts you had, 50% would be fantastic, right? Move to the upside. You put your capital at risk, you got your return, and then close it and shut your brokerage and go, go do something else for the rest of the day. And that's basically how we structure these trades around these key levels. If you join us in the chat, we talked about we had a couple traders that put their trades in there this morning, and they had excellent trades. So yeah, we have people doing flies. Yeah, I mean multiple option structures. So it really depends on what you want to trade in your account and how you want to structure it. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if I need to expand on that any. I'd be happy to expand on it. So, all right, thanks everybody for joining us. Throw some tickers in. We'll go over them. I'm just gonna hang out, watch the price action here a little bit. Go through a few stocks here. I'll just flip through. So, AMD ran right up to plus Gex level and got rejected. So again, Sherman, yeah, we do. Yeah. How do you like to trade that level? A transition area. So the two ways we trade these are 6650 was the area that we didn't think we'd get above to the upside, right? So I would sell something above, right? In anticipation that we're not going above 6650. Same thing with below us. 6625, 6620 transition area, drunken sailor range. If we hold that area, then we put on an option structure that would be obviously bullish, take advantage of theta for the rest of the day, and then staying above that level, however you want to structure that. So those were our two goalposts for the day. And that's what we do every day. And then we look at the vol M command, and there's virtually no speculation to the upside, right? Here. So the chances of us going above, well, now we're creeping above 50 at the moment, right? Just because the vol M command is starting to creep up a little bit. But initially, earlier in the day, this was flat. There was no speculation to the upside. So the chances of us going above that 6650 early in the day was extremely low because we did not see any speculation to the upside. And truth be told here, our linear fit line is fairly flat. We're just grinding up towards that level. But unless we see a large amount of speculation and this centroid really start turning to the upside, we're probably just going to be consolidating sideways. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, absolutely. You could do that. Yeah. We got some people throwing flies in the in our Discord at the moment, or opening some trades. What we like to see is what we call the rate of change really start to flatten out to zero. So that means that obviously it's the speculation is really flat either direction. So the price will just continue on that trajectory towards the end of the day. So that gives us a good ending point. You see the 6658, 6620. Most likely this will continue to converge to the upside, and this will even narrow further. What do we want to look at? Can't remember. And Sherman, yeah, the pin projections obviously are highest strikes, so 6650, and then pin projection would be using our vol M command here into the afternoon of where we might be. So, all right, back towards Apple moved up. Apple moved up extremely well above plus Gex. So COI is 250 there. So highest call open interest. Google still has room to run to the upside. Meta holding P-Trans. Tesla ran right up to plus Gex. Rejected there. Nvidia holding P-Trans. Amazon plus Gex. So you see a theme here. All these ran up right towards PGEX. P-Trans held PGEX up to COI on Uber's 100. PLTR above plus Gex hitting COTMC. So multiple areas of monetization, right? Plus Gex, COTMC, and you see these being played out over and over and over with the option structure. I mean, Snow, look at that one. Right up to COTMC. I mean, we see this over and over and over in the option structure for us. Where out of the money calls become in the money. We see that peak, and then we see monetization, and it's just almost to the penny sometimes, right to those levels. Octa held P-Trans. So if anybody wants to go over any other single stocks, I'd be happy to throw them up. But we're just kind of traversing sideways on SPY here, grinding on SPX 6654. OKLO, yeah, we looked at that one before. Did it have enough? Did it have enough options? Enough OI? I think so. OKLO just opened a large center near me, so yeah. Yeah, if you know Oak Ridge, Tennessee, it's like the hub of, well, it was the hub of the Manhattan Project. So AJ, mine, I use the weekly, or I use all expiries, but we have 0DT today also. We have 0DT scripts also, so it's up to you. I just like to use the all expiries. I give it a little bit heavier weight, but I do look at the whatever the expiry is, like if it's a weekly expiry. Yeah. So yeah, see PGX. Oh, so COTMC, COTMP, PGX, OPEX for October. Yeah, we'll pull up that. Yeah, see, so the issue with OKLO, so today 191,000, 75,000. Okay, it's still under, and we have it. We have our limit of 100,000, which is why OKLO is in our web app. But I'd like to see this OI a little bit larger for next week to give me a good certainty of what's occurring. You see, this structure is kind of, so it doesn't have any options here. I assume those strikes probably haven't been populated yet. But yeah, the structure is kind of hodgepodge there. So let's do this. Let's invert. So there we go. Yeah, so the structure is kind of weird with these strikes here. I wonder what's going on with these strikes. I'll have to look into this and see if this is a data dropout or oh, okay, I see what's happening. So yeah, I'll have to look at this and see about the strikes, because up here we only have 5 increment strikes, and then here we have single strikes. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, it's call dominated by below spot price. Net delta's green, so speculation is obviously to the upside in OKLO, but SMR. Let's see what SMR is. SMR. Well, call dominated. Looks good. Decent amount of OI. 144,000. So it's above PGX and COI. So this is one of those ones that's extending above the range. PGX COI at 42. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be a little more difficult for this to move significantly higher. 50 COTMC. So I would be looking around that level. I mean, we do have speculation all the way up here, but that's pretty far away from spot price at the moment on SMR. So. All right, just grinding higher. Let's take a look at our volume command, see if we've seen any change. So the other thing we have is what we call this centroid table. So basically this gives us the rate of change and the slope. So obviously you see the slope in the call centroid has actually started getting less negative. And you see the rate of change obviously is fairly flat though, right? So that means we'll just continue on this trajectory. But what this is telling us is we're pulling the nose up. Obviously, we went from 0.1 to 0.0 and then 0.033. So we're continuing to pull the nose up. Now, we've kind of leveled off, right? Rate of change is almost 0, so we've leveled off now, right? But we pulled the nose up on the call centroid, which is why most likely we had price appreciation. Same thing with the put slope, right? We went from negative, or sorry, 0.4, now we're at 0.167, right? And the rate of change, picked up a little bit, but now we're fairly flat, okay, on the put slope. So that's just telling us kind of how that is traversing the slopes are traversing there, the structure. So, and we'll get another update on the vol M command here in a few minutes. So I'll pull that. I'll pull that over. So. Yeah, and so let me look at our net stack command. So we had a decent amount of gamma at 6650 that could give us some fuel to the fire. And we also had, I think charm was sitting there also. So let me pull this over. It's loading. Give me just 1 second here. Okay, so we've changed pretty significantly now. So our gamma is 6670 now, and our charm's all the way at 6600 for out of the money calls. So that's pretty far above spot price. So we could move quickly up towards 6670, but we don't have as much gamma sitting at 6650 now. This is high sensitivity peak. And as we talked about in the money calls below us, will continue to be supportive on any pullback. So we talked about that this morning, and that continues to be the case. And you see this left-hand plane integral compared to the right-hand plane. I mean, just massive amount of call delta below us. That's just going to continue to be supportive, right? So that's why on that quick pullback this morning, we got nice quick rebound back to the upside. And that's what we look for every day in the structure to see if that changes. If this is, out of the money put dominated, or this left-hand plane is a lot weaker, then we can get a further pullback. But until that changes, pullbacks are most likely going to continue to be absorbed and move back to the upside. So. All right, let me know if anybody wants to go over any other stocks. Let's hang out for a couple minutes. I'd anticipate we're just going to chop around up here in the 6650 area. And then if we do see some volatility and some, pullback, I mean, we'll probably be pulling back down into this area right here. We're kind of just stuck, really, probably for the rest of the day. As I said on the vol M command, CRWV, core weave. Yeah, we'll check that one out. I haven't looked at that one for a little bit. So we're above PGX. COI is at 130. Let's invert after this expiry. So the structure does advance PGX to 130 and COI to 130, and you still have speculation to the upside. COTMC is all the way up at 140. So you'd like to see PGX and COI continue to advance, but just call dominated all the way spot price. So any pullback opportunity to get involved on the upside. So CRWV looks good. I'd anticipate some stalling around 130 unless we see this structure advance much higher. Let me see what this is. So 125. 130. So PGX moves up to 130 first week of October. 125. 135. Yeah. So core weave looks good. MP. Let's check out MP. PGX 75. COI is at 70. So we're probably pushing the upper limit. COTMC is 80. Let's invert this. Baidu, yeah. So 75 is PGX still, and you see COI actually drop after this expiry. So I'd anticipate 75 unless the structure advances. We'll probably see some stalling around here. Yeah, Chinese stocks have been on a tear, so they've been doing really well. Gosh, PGX COI on Baidu is all the way at 150. So COTMC would be your first hurdle at 141, 142. Yeah, PGX COI is at 150. Structure looks really good for moving up there. If you get over 140, this COTMC area at 150 looks pretty good. Supportive action above transition. Worst case would be a pullback to 130 maybe, somewhere around in there. But this looks good. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, the China stocks. I mean, what JD, Baidu, JD, invert 40 on JD. So it's still got some upside on JD too. So yeah. Oh, Baba. How could I forget Baba? My goodness. Yeah. Call dominated. Yeah, look at this. Call dominated above and below spot price. Pushing PGX today, though, so probably why we're stalling. Let's invert this after expiry. 170s. PGX. COI still down there at 150, though, so you'd like to see that advance. But speculation to the upside, though. You still have speculation above PGX, but you'd like to see COI ramp up here. Again, COI up at 200 and PGX at 200 would be awesome in future expiries. So that would be an indication that we could probably move much higher. So yeah, yep, no problem, Mr. Jim. Yeah, just watching paint dry on SPY and SPX now as we run right into that 6650 level. So not much going on there. Yeah, Bob actually started populating our all call dom scan and our call dom del scan, so that means it's transitioning into the delta is transitioning into call dominated. Yeah, they're just grinding premium now. So that's our most popular scan is call dom del. When it changes the deltas to call and then all call dom, obviously that is your first indication that the stock is getting significant amount of speculation into it, and when we see those start populating the scan, those individual stocks like that, that's usually when we try to, get in when they're in that transition phase from a long-term downtrend transitioning to speculation to the upside. So yeah. So it just gives us a heads up that options or that people are speculating to the upside with options. So. So we also have a scan called new right hand plane bull delta. So that's indicating how the money speculation is coming in. So SMR is on there. Who asked for SMR? So SMR is on our new right hand plane bull scan. Somebody asked me about that one. So that was on there. SMR. Yeah, it's just Jim. Yep. So that was on our new. Let me pull this over. I'll show you. Show you the screenshot here. Oops. Hold on. Ah, dang it. Sorry about that. So that's it. Sorry about the black line there. Yeah, well, I'm not going to go back. But anyway, oh yeah, erase all markups. There we go. Anyway, right hand plane bull scan. So that's just indicating the delta balance and the right hand plane is turning to call dominated. So that's that out of the money call speculation. So Snow and SMR were those two stocks that whenever they ran the scan here at 124. I would assume it was on before that, on the scan before that, but yeah. So that's how we find a lot of these stocks before they move. Is tail wags the dog, so the options will start to show speculation way before we see a turning in the stock, or way before we see a bottoming. That's why we use that delta balance tool. That's why we use the GEX ratio tool, because that's short dated call gamma versus short dated put gamma. And if the short dated call gamma starts swamping the short dated put gamma, there's really high probability that the stock's going to turn and go back to the upside. And then the out of the money call speculation comes in. Obviously, we're opening long deltas. The dealers short those deltas, and they have to buy to hedge. Now, whether they buy that stock as underlying or just in a global, hedging, but that's usually what occurs. and then we'll see that ramp up. Tesla was one of those stocks. We saw it changing. UNH had an awesome trade on UNH. We saw that change. It actually started populating our P-Trans to PGEX scan. Got it in our portfolio. XOM was one of those stocks. We just closed three tranches, 21% of our portfolio on XOM for nice wins. Tesla was crazy. I think we had a 17% winner, and we got 12% winner, I think, in our P-Trans and PGX mechanical portfolio. So yeah, so it was good stuff. So. Let's get one more last volume run here before we yeah, so linear fit lines flat 6660, so you don't really these peaks. I like to scroll over these peaks in our interactive chart to see where these call speculators are at. There's just really not that much to the upside, right? You see it's fairly flat. You could even draw a line across here and see that there's not much speculation to the upside, and then the put speculation is just grinding. So you see 6620 where those peaks are at. So yeah, so we're just grinding sideways. We'll probably just chop back and forth between these two levels again, unless we see a large quick move to the upside. So anybody else has any other questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. Just kind of hanging out on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, sounds good, Sherman. No problem. On the QYLD thing, I know people. Oh yeah, awesome. Have a good week. I know a lot of people follow that, and they talk about the repositioning on it. A lot of the covered call ETFs too. I know that's the big thing right now. Does it matter? I don't know. I mean, obviously, you probably see price adjustment whenever it happens because there's a significant, rebalance in what they're doing. I totally get it, but you could say that with anything. You could say that with time, right? 10 o'clock, 10:30. Those time frames too. When algos are programmed to do things. So yeah, no problem. It's just Jim. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and I think you were listening to Doc this morning, right? Totally respect Doc on that too. He loves he follows that stuff, right, religiously. And is there a pony there? Probably, but the question is it tradable? And it's just like having all this other data. You know what I'm saying? Even if you know the data, you can't really predict the response, right, of what's going to happen in the market. So I mean, if I knew the EPS and exactly, is it tradable? Exactly, right? I mean, if I knew Nvidia's EPS ahead of time, let's just say they beat, right? So I'm like, oh, they beat. Most likely a stock's going to go up. Well, what if the market or the larger hedge funds or whoever didn't like something specific, a line item, right? Even though they beat, what do? They sell it off, right? So, I mean, it really doesn't matter, right? I mean, it's just, so what I say is we have an option structure, and option structure is on out in time, and usually that's going to, move the stock on out in time. And you're going to have intraday volatility, you're going to have weekly volatility, but when the majority of market participants are speculating to the upside, it's going to move to the upside, right? It doesn't really matter what the single day QILD rebalance is, right? I mean, yeah, it will be intraday volatility, but I want the mass. I want to be with the mass of market participants. Wherever direction the mass and the herd is moving, that's the direction I want to go, and that's why we use our market trend model as well as the SPX option structure, right? AAP and the full complex. So yeah, so absolutely, yeah, better to trade what's in front of you. So there's news or noise every day that could influence your your trading, right? But I mean, yeah. So All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Everybody have a great weekend. Again, probably sideways chop action until the last little bit, and then we might see some volatility just because it's OPEX, but I would anticipate we'll just continue steady as she goes. So, all right. Thanks everybody. Make it a great weekend.